Now we're getting on to the next step, which is to actually applique our little snowman to the apron. And this is quite a simple task, but you have to be careful so that the snow, when the seam allowance is turned in, doesn't end up showing any blue, because if you put it just on the edge, it won't work, of course. So you need to push it under a bit with the seam allowance turned in so you can see where it needs to go. Then I also take the tall snowman, I do the same, I tuck my seam allowance in and then see where it should sit, put it into position. And the last thing I want to put on is the tree. I also put the tree on, and then I get my iron and I iron it all too. You need to leave the iron on there for quite a while. And if you have a really cheap felt that you think might burn, then you might want to use an ironing cloth over it. I'm using a silk cloth. I always have that lying around, but it does have to be real silk, none of this polyester stuff. That'll just stick to your iron. So you need pure silk, and then nothing will burn. That also goes, of course, for your main fabric. I'm using linen. You can iron that as hot as you like, but if that was a polyester, of course, you'll have the other issue that might melt. So you do want to use an ironing cloth. Now we're sewing it on. Lock in your stitches. When you get to a corner, you want to hit the corner exactly, sort of like the same distance from the edge. And then you put your needle down, lift the presser foot and turn. And when I have a lot of curve, I actually have my hand on that presser foot lift the whole time, and I just lift it and then I lower it down and lift it and lower and lift and lower, and my left hand guides the fabric around. So I do it literally with every second stitch, sometimes with every stitch, it depends. So take your time there, and once you get into the swing of things, this won't take you very long at all. And I'm using the little red line on the right hand side of the center of my presser foot that you can see to line it up with the edge. That works quite well on the puff machines. You need to find one for yourself. I always find the see-through clear plastic feet are best for that. And this one I've speeded up a bit because this is the tall snowman, and we've seen how it works now. Always have the needle in the fabric when you turn. That's the one lesson to learn, and then just work your way around. You've only got 2 snowmen to do, so it's not that hard. Just imagine doing the tree skirt, loads more. And then finally we have to do the tree as well. And I've changed my color over to green. I think it's quite important that you have the right color on there, especially if you're not that good yet at keeping the distance to the edge, because it won't really show. If you used a contrast color, which can look really nice, but then you could also, see everything. The other thing you can do with a Christmas tree is you could put like little dots on it, so like mimicking Christmas decorations as well. That would be quite nice too. There we go. Go, go, go. Down that side as well. And down. And that was the tree. Now we've got the first layer done. We can go on to the next layer that has to cover what we've just done. Now we need to find where to put all the red stuff. So I need to, make sure that I get it in the right position there. That's my little scarf. And there we go. Now I also need to know where the hat goes, so I take the white bit as well and I put that on to make sure that I put the hat in the right position. And you can see I'm a little bit close there to the edge where my bias binding is going. You should have come up a little bit more as well, so you need to bear all these things in mind when you do it. So I'm just cutting a little bit off to make it fit that tiny bit lower. And if you watch the sew along, which of course is much longer in the Facebook group, you'll see that I'm moving my little snowman way more to the center than I did on this first attempt of mine. So I've put everything on now, the red stuff, my little arms. There we go. That will look very nice. So take it back off, because first of all we're going to sew these on and iron them on. Now, one thing that I do here, which is really wrong, the scarf of the little snowman that hangs down will actually hang over the snow. So I'm ironing it on. So you want to make sure you don't do that. Just iron the top part of it on and not the lower part. And you'll see me struggle picking that back up in a minute because I had to. Again, make sure that you always have the needle down in the fabric, and you can see here my right hand, I'm just like constantly leaving it on there really just to lift it, and my left hand moves the fabric. Get into the swing of doing that. And here I'm just going to sew around. Of course I'm not sewing that little scarf part on, that's going to go over the snow that hangs down. I just go around here. And then I do the snowman as well. Always have the needle down in the corners. And the little arms, we've got to do those as well. And there we go, we can now put on the little hands, and I need to find where they go. Now I need to put the white on as well, so move that up into position. And the little hands I do later. Give it all a good press again. Mind you, don't press down that scarf of the little snowman that's hanging down. So much steam always. And now I'm going to sew around the little hands, just like we did before. And that hand as well, all the way around. And now I'm going around the white part of the hat for the little snowman. And now we're going to iron on the hat. So it's very repetitive, but you do it in layers. You always do the lowest layer first, and then you work your way all the way up. I'm also going to put the little carrots on for the nose on both of them. Give it all a good press. And sew around the carrot. That's a bit small here, but it works. It looks very cute. Now we're going to sew around the hat as well. There we go. I had to lift this off again. Here you can see it. That wasn't so good. And then we can place our snow on there too. Turn in the seam allowance there, and then I'm going to just pin that in. Now on this one, I decided to do it with hand stitching, so we're just using a slip stitch to put this on. So you need thread with a knot at the end, and then we're just gonna go and do that. You don't have to do it too tidily. You just go back into the spot exactly where you came out. There you go. One after the other. And there you can see it from the back. Of course, there's the other option of just banging it on with a sewing machine. You can do that too. So let's have a look at the sewing machine. It doesn't really make any difference, I found. It looks exactly the same because all the fur will stand up anyway. So now we're going around with the sewing machine. This was the second apron I did. I've made one apron for Magdalena and one for Victoria. Those are Ella's kids, the lady that takes all those lovely photographs for my clothes that we're making. And now finally I'm going to sew on that little part of red on the scarf. And that's it, just the little hands to do, and I'm also going to sew around those. So first of all I'm going to iron them on so that they don't go anywhere. And now I'm just going to go around with the sewing machine. When I did the tree skirt, I did them all by hand. It's quite nice if you're just sitting there in front of the TV and you just do it. It's a nice afternoon's work if it's cold outside, but I wanted to do this quickly, and I'm sure you do as well because Christmas is looming. So I just sewed around it and it looks really nice as well. And that's it, you've got your applique firmly on, and we can go on to putting our apron together now. So see you over there.